Welcome to PMSR. Today, I've got 5 pickup lines so terrible they should come with a warning label. But here's the thing. Each one tells you everything you need to know about what happened next. Let's get into it. So, this guy walks up to a woman at a coffee shop and says, "Are you alone? Because you've got my interest, and I'm willing to go into debt for you." I mean, let's break down what just happened here. This man really looked at the concept of financial ruin and thought, yeah, that's romantic. He essentially opened with, "Hi, I make terrible life decisions, and you're about to become one of them." But here's what makes this story insane. She actually laughed, said it was so bad, it was charming. They exchanged numbers. 3 months later, she found out why the line was so specific. He wasn't joking about the debt part. Turned out, he was an entrepreneur. And by entrepreneur, I mean he maxed out 7 credit cards on a cryptocurrency scheme that collapsed 2 weeks after they met. He was literally using dating apps to find women who worked in finance because he needed investment advice. The pickup line wasn't a joke, it was market research. She discovered this when his landlord called her phone, the one emergency contact he'd given before disappearing for 4 days. He owed 3 months' rent and thought she'd cover it because, and I quote from the text he sent, "We're building something together, babe." They'd been dating for 12 weeks. What actually happened? She blocked him on everything and he moved on to the next woman with a 401k. Last she heard, he was in another state, probably opening with the same line, looking for his next investment opportunity. The lesson? When someone tells you they're willing to go into debt for you on day one, believe them. They're not being romantic, they're being honest about their financial planning skills. Both are 0. The gym philosopher. Here's the next one. A guy at the gym walks up to a woman mid-squat, already a war crime, and says, "Do you believe in love at first set, or should I curl past you again?" First of all, she's mid-squat. That alone tells you everything about his respect for boundaries, timing, and basic human decency. But let's focus on the line itself. Love at first set. Like lifting weights is somehow the foundation for a relationship. And the "should I curl past you again" part, that's not confidence. That's a threat. He's essentially saying, I'm going to keep doing this until you respond. But she was nice about it. Gave him her Instagram just to end the conversation so she could finish her workout in peace. Big mistake. Within 2 hours, he'd liked every single photo going back 4 years. Every single one, including the one from her high school graduation where she's 17 and wearing braces. Then came the DMs, paragraphs about how they were aligned energetically and how he could tell from her form that she was disciplined in all areas of life. He asked if she was into meal prep because he believed couples who meal prep together stay together. They hadn't even had a conversation yet. She ignored the messages. That's when he showed up at the gym every single day at the exact time she usually worked out. Not to work out himself, no, he'd just stand near the free weights, staring, occasionally doing a single bicep curl, waiting for her to acknowledge him. The gym staff eventually banned him after she filed a complaint. His response? He left a 1-star Google review saying the gym doesn't support genuine connection and punishes men for taking initiative. What this means for you. If someone doesn't respect your space during a workout, they're not going to respect your boundaries anywhere else. And if their opening line involves repetition until you submit, that's not persistence. That's harassment with a gym membership. The artist's canvas. Okay, this next one happened at an art gallery opening. Very sophisticated crowd, wine, cheese, people pretending to understand abstract paintings. And this guy walks up to a woman and says, "You must be a masterpiece because I'd like to spend hours studying every inch of you." Now, on the surface, it sounds like a bad line from a rom-com. Cheesy, sure, but harmless. Except here is what makes this one different. She was the artist, It was her gallery opening. Her paintings were on the walls, and he didn't know that. She told him, very politely, that she actually painted all the pieces in the room. His response? Oh, well, I meant you're more beautiful than your work. Read that again. He looked at her art, the thing she'd spent months creating, the reason they were all standing in that room, and told her she was better than it. Like that was a compliment. But wait, it gets worse. He bought one of her paintings, spent $2,000 on it, then asked if the purchase meant she'd go to dinner with him. Like he just purchased a date disguised as art. She said no, obviously. Told him the painting was a separate transaction and she appreciated his support but wasn't interested. He asked for a refund. The gallery owner refused, explaining that all sales were final. So this man, this absolute masterpiece of a human being, left a scathing review online saying she was unprofessional and led him on by accepting his money. He'd convinced himself that buying her art was the same as buying her time, that supporting her career came with access to her. What actually happened? The review backfired, people rallied around her, calling out his behavior. Her art sold out the rest of the show. He deleted the review and his social media after someone recognized him and shared screenshots of him trying the same move at other gallery openings across the city. Turns out he had a whole system. Find female artists, buy their work, demand their attention, throw a tantrum when rejected, get a refund, or leave a bad review. He'd done it at least 6 times before she shut it down publicly. The lesson here: when someone treats a transaction like a relationship down payment, run. And if they can't separate your work from access to you, they don't respect either. If you're enjoying these, hit subscribe. More coming up. The philosophical disaster. This one happened at a bookstore. A guy saw a woman reading in the philosophy section and walked up with, "Is your name Descartes? Because I think, therefore, we should be together." Okay, first, the confidence to walk up to someone actively reading and interrupt them with a pun about a 17th century philosopher. That takes audacity. Bad audacity, but audacity nonetheless. She looked up from her book, gave him the kind of smile you give to a lost child in a grocery store, and said, "That's not really how Descartes works." He doubled down, said, "Well, maybe you can teach me over coffee." She actually agreed. Not because the line worked, but because she was writing her thesis on existentialism and thought it might be funny to see where this went. Academic curiosity, not attraction. The coffee date was a disaster. He spent the entire time explaining philosophy to her, the subject she was literally getting a PhD in. He cited Wikipedia. He mispronounced Nietzsche. He told her Camus was basically just a sad French dude. She tried to politely correct him once. His response? "You're pretty smart for someone who looks like you." Let that sit for a second. He complimented her intelligence as if it was surprising based on her appearance. Like being attractive and educated were mutually exclusive in his mind. She ended the date early. He texted her 17 times that night, each message more desperate than the last, asking what he did wrong, why she was playing games, and whether she was too intellectual for a real relationship. The next day, he showed up at the bookstore again. Different woman, same section, same line, word for word. "Is your name Descartes? Because I think, therefore, we should be together." Turns out he had a rotation. 5 or 6 philosophy pickup lines he'd cycle through at the same bookstore, hoping to find someone who didn't know enough to call him out on his bullshit. What this means for you. If someone opens with intelligence but can't handle you actually being smart, they don't want a partner. They want an audience. And if they're using the same script on everyone, they're not interested in you. They're interested in the idea of you. The nightmare chef. All right, last one. And this one is genuinely unhinged. A guy at a farmer's market walked up to a woman holding a basket of tomatoes and said, "Are you a ribeye? Because you're a rare find, and I'd like to take you home and sear you on high heat." I need you to understand what just happened here. This man compared a human woman to a piece of raw meat, then described cooking her, and thought that was flirtatious. She laughed, not because it was funny, but because her brain couldn't process what she just heard. It was the kind of laugh you do when something is so uncomfortable you don't know how else to react. He took that as encouragement, started following her through the market, explaining his cooking process in excruciating detail. How he likes his steaks prepared, his favorite marinades, the importance of letting meat rest before cutting into it. She tried to lose him in the crowd. He kept pace, asked for her number so he could cook for her sometime. She gave him a fake one just to escape. But here's where this story goes from weird to genuinely scary. 2 weeks later, she was at a different farmer's market across town. And there he was. Same guy, different woman, same line, word for word. "Are you a ribeye? Because you're a rare find, and I'd like to take you home and sear you on high heat." She watched the whole thing play out. The uncomfortable laugh, the persistent following, the cooking monologue, the request for a number. She pulled the other woman aside afterward and warned her. They compared notes. Turns out he'd been doing this every weekend at rotating markets, always targeting women shopping alone, always using the same line, always escalating until they gave him something, a number, a social media handle, anything, just to make him stop. They reported him to market security. He's now banned from 3 farmers markets in the area. What actually happened to him? No idea. Probably found a new location, probably still comparing women to meat, probably still thinking persistence is the same thing as charm. The lesson? When someone's opening line makes you feel like prey, trust that feeling, because that's exactly how they see you. 5 pickup lines. 5 disasters. 5 warnings wrapped in terrible wordplay. Here's the thing about bad pickup lines. They're not just awkward icebreakers. They're previews. The guy who opened with debt jokes, he was telling you he'd become your financial burden. The gym guy who threatened to keep circling, he showed you he doesn't take no for an answer. The art buyer, he revealed that he thinks everything has a price, including you. The philosophy bro, he told you he'd rather hear himself talk than listen to you think. And the rabbi guy, he literally told you he sees women as something to consume. People tell you who they are in the first 5 seconds. The trick is believing them. Which story was the most unhinged? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe to PMSR for more warnings you probably need to hear. See you next time.